Everything about the Triumph Rocket 3 is big. The engine, the tyres, the torque, the weight and the price. It's quite frankly mad, and who in their right mind would make a 2.5 litre 3-cylinder production motorcycle these days? Well, Triumph decided to, and hats off to them for building it. It's ludicrous. Obviously this bike has been around for a while, so I'm not going to bore you and go through all the minutiae of the specs. There are plenty of videos out there for that, but I will obviously touch on a few of the headline numbers as I go through. This review is intended to give you an idea of what the Rocket is like to ride and live with day to day. This GT model is more cruiser-ish than the muscle roadster R model, and it's distinguished by its forward foot controls, swept back handlebars, taller screen and pillion backrest. This particular bike has had the semi-rigid panniers fitted, which is a really neat solution. The bags simply lift off after being unlocked with the ignition key, and the pannier mount folds up, leaving a discreet rack when the bags are not required. It's certainly one of the most stylish solutions I've seen. Oh, and whilst I mention keys, Triumph have opted for the keyless ignition system, which I have to admit I'm not a big fan of. Not that I'm a Luddite, but I don't see any problems with a good old fashioned key. The risk of a keyless fob being lost seems an unnecessary one. Anyway, back to the bike and that chunky motor. The 2458cc engine, that's over 800 cc's per cylinder, puts out 165 horsepower, which is maybe not that impressive when you look at some of the current crop of fast bikes. But it's the 221 newton meters of torque that's the big number, and that makes all the difference. The Rocket just pulls and keeps on pulling, which makes it both thrilling to ride when you wind it on, but also at the same time very relaxing to ride as you waft around town or saunter down motorways and highways. You can also get a bit of a lean on in the twisties. The pegs are high enough not to worry about any scraping, and it's great fun to roll from side to side. It's only when the bends really tighten up that you're made aware of this bike's dimensions. There's no denying it's a heavy motorcycle at 291 kilograms dry, but that's only an issue when you're shoving it about by hand. The centre of gravity is low and it feels nice and balanced when riding. It's also relatively nimble for its size. When the bike's rolling, it's the wheelbase and kicked out front forks you'll notice more in the bends. But once you get used to it, slow speed manoeuvring is pretty easy, and of course the low 773mm seat height helps with this. Not only is it low, but it's comfortable too. I spent entire days in the saddle whilst filming, and despite having some concerns that I was fixed in one position when I first jumped on, the Rocket cockpit proved to be a comfortable place to be. The forward foot controls are in a good position and there's a relaxed reach to the bars. In terms of cruising and touring, the Rocket GT fits the bill, although perhaps not so much for the passenger. The pillion seat, despite having a backrest, is still a bit of a perch, but the fold out pegs are a very neat touch. Obviously the big motor is going to be a little bit more thirsty than its smaller competitors, and riding a mix of roads as I did, relatively sedately I might add, returned an average consumption of 36 miles per gallon. Chugging along in 6th gear at motorway speeds for long stints will obviously improve things, but you will be making frequent visits for fuel to replenish the 18 litre tank. The screen doesn't appear to do that much, but then I've not ridden the R model to be able to compare it. It did offer an element of weather protection, but the biggest issue I found riding in poor weather was the amount of crap the big 240 section rear tyre kicks up. I don't know if the panniers make it worse, but even with the rear rack, which I thought might offer some protection, the back of my jacket was absolutely covered in road filth. As you can see, the front of the pillion pad and the seats were covered. It's one of the worst bikes for this that I've ridden. I suspect it's the kind of bike that won't be ridden all year round, but I thought it was something worth mentioning. The Rocket 3 shares the TFT display with the Scrambler 1200, which is clear, easy to read and easy to use. The IMU brings cornering, ABS and traction control as standard, and there are 4 riding modes. Triumph's excellent heated grips are also included, along with cruise control, hill hold control, USB charging port and full LED lighting, including a striking daytime running light. Ride quality is good from the adjustable 47mm Showa forks and fully adjustable Showa monoshock, although I did find the rear a bit harsh on poor road surfaces. Stopping duties are carried out with Brembo Stylema calipers, and I have to say, given the Rocket's considerable bulk, the braking performance is very impressive. Of course, being a Triumph, there is a whole host of accessories available as well, should you want to kit out this beast a little bit more. So although I wasn't immediately gripped by the bike on my first ride, did I grow to like it over time? Well, the answer is yes, kind of. Once I'd got to know the Rocket, I found it a fast, fun and comfortable ride. You can waft around effortlessly on it or hustle it on too. The weight is only noticeable when moving the bike around, which isn't going to make it the most practical day-to-day ride for everybody, and it takes up quite a bit of garage space. Although I said that the price tag was big at the start of this video, when you look at what you get for your money, it does look like pretty decent value, but it's not a bike I'd spend my money on if I'm being honest. However, if this sort of bike appeals to you, you want to turn heads and get into conversations at petrol stations, then splashing out for the world's largest capacity production motorcycle might be right up your alley. It just also happens to be Triumph's fastest accelerating production bike from 0 to 60 miles per hour ever. If you'd like to see more bike and gear reviews, then please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell. It would really be greatly appreciated. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Rocket 3 in the comment section down below, and until next time, I'd just like to say thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!